Let's bring in Liberal Senator Dave Sharma now. Senator, it's good to catch up. Thank you very much for joining me. I want to start with net zero. How will the Liberals navigate this? I mean, you've got seniors in the Liberals like Andrew Hastie saying it's like a straitjacket. They want 2050 scrapped. You've got Nationals MPs, some saying the same. The Liberals obviously want to win back city seats from independents, including, of course, your former seat of Wentworth. Do you want net zero 2050 revisited?
Let me make this point to begin with. It was the Howard government that took us into the Kyoto Protocol, right? It was the Abbott government that signed us up to the Paris Climate Accord. It was the Morrison government that signed us up to the Glasgow annex to the UNFCCC negotiation. So, you know, Liberal or coalition governments throughout have had these debates, and it's healthy and perfectly normal that they do so. But look, to my mind, the debate we should be having with the Labor Party is not about the direction of travel. It's about how we get there. What's our energy mix going to be in the future? Should we have nuclear power in the mix? Do we need gas in the short term? And I think that's a debate that the public is genuinely interested in. But I think this sort of totemic issue of net zero has taken on a theological significance, if you like, out of all proportion to the realities we face. I think Australians are interested in what can help bring down their power prices and help us lower emissions at the same time. And that's something that we are interested in as Liberals as well. That's the sort of argument we should be having, not about something that's an international goal, which we don't know if the world will meet, which, like many international commitments, is a sort of an aspirational or a stretch target. I don't think we should become too fixated on that. And I think if we do, it will be to our detriment as a political movement.
Right, I understand. I completely, perfectly understand. I mean, people do want to know how their power bills are going to be brought down. But the thing is, Senator, you've got countries now around the world pulling out. They say that they can no longer reach those targets. So why should Australia also just stand idly by when we're not a big emitter?
Look, the United States has pulled out of this agreement. I'm not aware of any other countries with binding targets that have done so.
New Zealand?
You could argue that China and India don't have binding targets. I don't believe New Zealand has withdrawn, but I stand to be corrected there. It might be a topic of debate. But
yeah.
Okay, I'll accept that then. But New Zealand's not I believe we should be a good international citizen. If the world decides this is not reachable, then of course we should reconsider our position. I don't think we should be the last country in, but I don't think we should be the first country out.
No, fair enough. Look, I just want to go back on nuclear. I mean, there are moderates in the party wanting nuclear to be dumped altogether. If you don't differentiate your energy policies from Labor, how will you be able to win elections moving forward?
Well, I'd say to begin with that, firstly, I think we've shown a lot more enthusiasm for gas than Labor has, and gas is a key transition fuel that if you can bring on more supplies of gas, you will bring down the price of electricity and prices or input prices for a number of industries that rely upon gas as well as that use a large amount of energy. So I think gas is a key differentiator. Nuclear, I think nuclear energy should be in the mix, but it should be on a commercial, competitive basis, which is how a market should run. So I don't support having a legislative prohibition on nuclear power, but I think we should overturn that and then allow the market to decide. I mean, nuclear should be able to compete on a level footing in cost terms and reliability terms and other terms, as the same as coal, the same as gas, the same as hydro, the same as solar. And I think if we have a level playing field like that, we can let the market and private capital determine what's the best way forward. And that's what we as Liberals should be about.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about the coalition agreement that the Liberals have agreed in principle to the National Party's 4 key demands. David Littleproud was on the show last night and he really seemed to still leave the door open. This is what he said.
So what I'll do is finalise the rest of the negotiations with Susan Lee. That'll be presented to the party room and the party room will make their determination whether they wish to re-enter the coalition or not in the ensuing days.
Senator, it sounds by what David Littleproud said that it's not a done deal as such. I mean, is that your take? I mean, how confident are you of being able to come to an agreement?
Look, I'm relatively confident that both sides, Liberals and Nationals, and obviously I can only speak with authority for my own, not on behalf of the Nationals, recognise that a coalition is in our mutual political interest, but also in the national interest. And we've, as the Liberal Party room, have certainly given our leader, Susan Lee, you know, the full mandate to go out and close this deal, if you like, with the Nationals. Now, you know, what the internal processes they need to go through and what level of consultation David Littleproud needs to have with his own party members and party room, you know, that's a matter for him and entirely appropriately a matter for him. But I'm confident that, you know, we recognise that we are better served being together in partnership than we are going our own ways, and ultimately that larger collective interest will prevail here.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said earlier, getting back to talking about Labor and not talking about yourselves, you know, it's been weeks since the election, so hopefully an agreement can be met. Speaking of Susan Lee, she will elevate fresh talent into her shadow ministry with an announcement expected later this week. Will everyone be happy, Senator?
I don't know, to be honest. You know, I think Susan has shown herself to be a consultative leader who is interested in making sure that we learn and then heed the lessons from the last election, that we give younger members of Parliament and newer members of Parliament an opportunity to develop but also show their wares and reposition ourselves. And ultimately, I mean, you know, the nature of these things is there's more people than there are positions, and so I expect there will be some people who are disappointed, but ultimately I think we will all respect the decision that the leader reaches on these things.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's fair enough. Interesting news this afternoon. Sky News has revealed that Liberal Senator Jacinta Price was offered the chance to contest a lower house seat by the Liberal Party 18 months ago. Of course, it follows her recent defection from the Nationals. Former opposition leader Peter Dutton discussed with her running for either the seat of Lingiari or Solomon. Does that clear up claims of betrayal by the Nationals? It sounds like it actually has been in the works for some time.
Well, my understanding is, look, firstly, Jacinta did run for the lower house seat of Lingiari in the 2019 election for the Country Liberals, and then she was elected in 2022 as a senator for the Country Liberals. And my understanding is, you know, that allows her to sit in either party room, the Nationals or the Liberals party room. It's a little unusual. I think the LNP is like that in some respects, but not all. You're often pre-selected, indicating which party room you'll sit in. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you know, Jacinta was perfectly entitled to sit in the Nationals party room, and she's perfectly entitled to sit in the Liberals party room, and she's perfectly entitled to exercise her choice in consultation with the Country Liberals leadership. And I think, you know, her choice there should be respected, and we certainly, you know, welcome her into the Liberal Party room and have done so. And clearly it's important that if that has left any feelings of ill will or animosity with the Nationals, and I can understand if it has, then we need to try and get over that pretty quickly, because we need to be all working together and on the same team.
Yeah, OK. Well, look, as I said, we're standing by. We're waiting to find out what happens with the coalition this week. It's wish we could get a box seat into that meeting. It'll be great. Dave Sharma, good to catch up with you. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening. Really appreciate it.